Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Heal Together community coaching session. And today we are studying denial. Now, it is impossible to change until you face that you have a problem, that your life has become unmanageable, and what you're doing to manage it is not working. This is why coming out of denial is the crucial first step in your healing process. So, today we will learn about the function and different types of denial that we go through in order to survive difficult life circumstances and in order to function through them. Now, denial is a defense mechanism. Everyone does it, and it's the first defense that our brain is capable of using automatically and subconsciously. The brain can actually distort sensory information and interpret it in such a way that it makes facts non-threatening. We feel like we can survive by blocking out what is truly going on and burying it in deep into our subconscious. It is difficult to spot denial when you are in denial. No one chooses to be in denial, but we do alter the perception of our reality to protect ourselves from being overwhelmed with emotions of facing something bigger than ourselves, such as fear or shock of the circumstance or the anger that you cannot believe this is happening. We don't want to see bad things in people, especially when we have trauma background. We only want to see love and goodness in people. And fantasy is a form of denial that kicks in, and we don't see all the red flags because we so desperately want to cling on to that little hope of love, of a breadcrumb, and deny everything else that is not okay with the circumstance. Some reasons we engage in denial is to avoid painful feelings or thoughts, and then actions that we might have to take if we come out and recognize and acknowledge the conflict. The conflict that would come up, that's what's scary to our inner child and our inner critic as well. Our inner critic does not know if we come out of, if they let the inner child come out of denial, how would things be? Would it bring up more conflict? Would I be able to keep myself safe? Would there be some difficult choices and side effects of those choices? And will other people be affected by us coming out of denial and speaking our truth? So this chaos, this confusion leads to even more pain, more emotional pain, and we can't handle it. So it's get buried deep. Our inner child's pain gets buried deep into our subconscious, and inner critic keeps on keeping us in denial to protect us and to keep us in safe and familiar from a perceived loss or threat of abandonment or emotional or physical harm. And sometimes when the shock or trauma is so huge, people instantly dissociate, which is a much bigger form of denial. And they go into denial and they bury the memory deep in within, and there's chunks of time and situations that they cannot recall, that their body froze, buried it, and then just kind of survived by operating in denial. Now, there are different forms of denial, like forgetting something or secretly believing the reverse of the variation, or secretly really believing someone's potential, right? It's a way of presenting self-deception, minimizing, rationalizing, accepting, repressing, and removing what's truly happening from the awareness. So it doesn't go away, it just gets repressed in our body and in our parts. So thoughts, needs, desires, traumatic events, memories, all these things get buried and they fester in our body as disease. Denial doesn't always mean that you are oblivious to the problem or to your feelings or to your needs. You might know that I need more love in this relationship, but you deny that need and you just survive on the breadcrumb. For example, you do minimize and rationalize what's going on to lessen its impact in the present moment. Because you cannot deal with the pain of not getting what you are reciprocating, that pain, so you deny your own need to have love. So you don't have to deal with it because you're not equipped to deal with, you're not equipped to leaving the relationship, or and because you're used to feeling powerless and helpless, denial becomes your best friend. So we start denying our reality and accepting someone else's truth or their version of the circumstance in the childhood, and that becomes our pattern and a habit. Now, there are many different forms of denial. That's why it's called peeling the onion. Let's explore four main types of denial. The first one is you may be in denial about someone else's behavior. For example, in childhood, that's how denial starts. You may be in denial about how it's affecting you, and you may be minimizing your feelings, your behavior, you're not letting yourself process what's truly going on because you want to stay in denial, because how someone else is behaving is not under your control and you cannot even fathom, and it's not even your job to control them. So you go into denial, just kind of accepting and kind of going along to get along. Many times we don't allow ourselves to feel because we don't know how we will handle if truly we feel the impact of what's going on. We may have grown up with someone addicted, or we may have grown up with an abuser or other family members who deny the problems that are going on. That's how society also functions at large, by denying, minimizing, looking away from problems that are going on in the world. So, but when we grow up in a dysfunctional family, we also learn to question our own instincts and our own perception. This self doubt puts us in a brain fog, and we start to lose our confidence, our trust in ourselves, and in our ability. So, denial and mental confusion go hand in hand. Denial does not mean that you're not bothered by their behavior or you don't notice it. You just don't allow yourself to think about it or act about it, to where it may become a necessary conversation and you may have to take an action. So, this is why we dismiss our own feelings or the effect of what's happening, or we justify, we make excuses for other people. And you tell yourself that things are really not that bad. Maybe they will get better. You may start to doubt your own perceptions and beliefs and lies and excuses, and then you don't know what the reality is. Reality becomes something very different than what is truly going on. Eventually, denial becomes your reality, and you live in that state of confusion, and all your resources and energy goes to denying what is truly happening and keeping a lid on that pressure cooker. Right? So, how do you know if you are in denial about someone else's behavior? Number one, you spend a lot of time thinking about how it should be, how it could be, in that fantasy thinking of what it's supposed to be like. Do you say things like, oh, I wish they would, or only if they did? Do you make excuses for them? Do you tell a different story to people outside? Do you rationalize, minimize? Do you just say, oh, everybody has shortcomings, etc., etc.? Do you believe in the promises of but they've been continuously been broken, but do you still continue to believe what they're saying, even though they have shown to you that they are not trustworthy, that they cannot keep their promises, that the true reality is different than what someone is selling you? So deep down, you know you deserve better. Deep down, you know this is wrong, but you keep going along because you don't feel worthy, because you're used to living in denial. Maybe you don't think you can really truly stand up, or maybe you just say it's none of my business and I'll just deal with the good parts of the relationship. The second type of denial is denying your own patterns, believing that you are helpless with no choices. You blame others, you focus on others, you distract yourself with others, you try to corral others to listen to your stories. But when we focus on others, and we blame others, we assume the position of denying and not really connecting with, not really speaking our own truth, our own feeling of how it's affecting you. How do you feel? How would you? So when someone is in denial, they usually focus on other people, their behavior, how they did them wrong, or what's going on with them. Denial can also show up as feelings that things are not that bad in your life. Denial itself shows up as difficulty identifying what you're feeling. We minimize, we alter, we don't know how we're feeling. So that's practice of denial. When denial becomes a habit, we don't know what our truth is because we've denied it for so long. And then many times we become hyper independent. So that's another form of denial, hyper independence, that I can take care of myself without any help. I will not let anyone get close to me because I don't need connection. So you deny yourself connection, you deny yourself feeling vulnerable, you deny the opportunity to form a relationship, and you don't give other people a chance. That's you're denying yourself life. Denial also shows up as anger, humor, isolation, when we don't feel, when we don't lash out, we don't make light of it, but we isolate and we don't talk about it. So these are all ways we deny our feelings to come out and express and breathe. We make jokes about it, or we get angry, really angry about it, but the pain of is still there. And denial can also show up in a passive aggressive way when we're really angry about a situation, but we're not truly speaking on it. We're just really festering with it, and it pops up in a passive aggressive manner. Denial is also not recognizing, not acknowledging, not accepting all parts of you, right? And the third, so you deny other people's reality and its effect on you. You deny your own reality and what you need to do. And the third type of denial is you don't know how you feel. You are busy obsessing about other people and the actions that they're taking. So now your job becomes to identify your own feelings and safely express them. Take up space, find safe places, safe people, journaling, God, nature, and practice speaking your truth. And once you start speaking your truth, more and more comes out. Once your parts feel that safe, connected, grounded, and ready, and they start speaking, more and more of your truth will come out, and let it come out and breathe. Even the painful feelings, they serve a purpose because they help you realize, recognize what is wrong in your life, right? So when you feel fear, fear tells you to avoid danger, including people who may harm you emotionally. When you're angry, anger tells you that there's an action required. Your inner teenager is really upset for what's going on with your inner, how your inner child is being treated, right? Healthy guilt helps you get congruence with your own values, with what you should be doing, what align with your own truth. That's healthy guilt. Depression or sadness can tell you that you need to let go. It encourages empathy, that your inner child needs to be heard, that they're sad. Shame is another feeling that when we deny, it's very burdensome. And shame helps you fit in society. Shame helps you stay in, like, in certain places doing the right thing. But eventually the burden of shame makes you feel that you are not worthy. When shame is just compounding and you're denying it, you're denying its release, you're denying understanding it. When you deny talking to shame and telling your shame and your inner critic that, hey, you don't need to shame me, I am enough, I am good enough. So shame is also sending you a message, but when you live in denial of your own feelings, you will not find the lesson and the message. in the feelings, right? So if you're looking away from your sadness, you're not going to be able to go deep in and soothe your inner child. When you're looking away from your anger, you're not going to be able to go in and find what is hurting your inner child. Why is my inner teenager so upset? So pain accumulates. When there's denial, there's a lot of emotional pain and burden. And an unintended consequence of denying painful feelings is that you become depressed, you become numb, and you also become numb to all the good feelings. So when you deny the anger, sadness, guilt, shame, all the heavy burdensome emotions, you also become numb to gratitude, joy, love, feeling that bliss. So denial is just a blanket, a cloud, a black cloud that will just cover up all that is good, as well as it will keep all that is bad also buried in. The energy that is required to repress something can be used creatively and constructively, but instead we use it to keep the lid on our pressure cooker of denial. When we deny our raw emotions, it leads to festering. And those emotions become obsessions, addictions, depressed moods, resentment, lead to alcoholism and all these other addictions. So our job now becomes to let those feelings flow through your body, find where the feeling is in your body, and then validate the feeling. I feel so hurt in my heart. My chest feels so heavy because of this pain. I feel heaviness in my chest, or I feel pain in my heart, or I feel anxiety in my stomach, right? So empathize with your pain. When you observe it and hold it, your pain gets validated, and it many times decreases, goes away. It flies away because when you hug that pain, it melts. So, but when you deny your feeling or you act out to relieve the stress, you don't respond to the feeling and that need that you have. So, your need that is causing that feeling also gets suppressed. So, the need, you're suppressing the need for good treatment or not abusive treatment. That need you suppress, then that leads to feeling of anger and sadness. You suppress that. So see how much energy is going to be needed to not only suppress the feeling and the thoughts that come with it. So you're suppressing the treatment, you're denying what's going on, then you're denying the feelings that you're feeling, and then you're numbing those feelings. That's another layer of problems that comes with when you deny your feelings. And the situation is continuing. Meanwhile, the situation is continuing. So do you understand how much pain and trauma and re-traumatization denial causes when we continue engaging in it by denying our feelings, emotions, thoughts, actions that we need to take, conversations that we need to have. Then we engage in fantasy to feel better, or addiction to feel better. Some people act out their repressed feelings with behaviors that release emotional tension without really experiencing that feeling, right? So people will act out their repressed pain by yelling at somebody, or by throwing things, or acting out in addiction, or doing something that will distract them from their pain. But at the same time, that pain is still there. Those feelings are still there. That treatment of what happened and what is happening is still there. And you can momentarily get relief, but all your life force is going into managing that situation and that denial. And this is what keeps people stuck. People stay stuck because all their creativity, the energy of their inner child, the gusto of their inner teen is just going to managing the denial, the whole process of it, right? So denial is like a whole process. When we feel a feeling and act out, we deny ourselves the chance to resolve it, because we remain in the cycle of of managing it with addictions and with not talking about it, or or we emotionally dump it to find a little bit of a relief, but then we don't really solve the problem. We don't really do what's needed to be done. So, because we remain in this cycle of re experiencing the feeling and repeating the associated learned behavior, the deeper pain still festers in our body. And that is how, when the deeper pain is not resolved, many couples just keep reacting to each other without resolving their own deeper pain that's there from their interactions from with their caregivers or their parents. So when you're carrying that denied pain that you're not even aware of within yourself, and you are reminded of that pain when your partner acts like that parent, so you're not just responding to your partner, you're responding to all that pain and feelings and thoughts and all that you denied, and it's all towards that partner. So that's why people stay stuck fighting with each other, because they haven't resolved the denied, depressed pain of childhood. So that's the type 4. Type 4 denial is denying our needs. If you were shamed or ignored, neglected, abused in childhood, you grow up doing the same thing to yourself. You shut down your feelings and you shut down the needs that are associated with those feelings. Why do you need why feelings and that's how we learn to become self-sufficient, when we deny our needs, deny our feelings, and we just learn dysfunctional coping mechanisms in order to manage the burden of that of denial. Many of us don't even recognize our need for support or comfort. We isolate when we're hurting. And asking for our needs is more painful because of the anticipation of rejection. I might be treated as a burden. They're going to think I'm not good enough, right? So asking for help and support is unfamiliar, and we deny ourselves that connection. Once you understand what you're denying and at what level, you can radically accept that truth within you. You can radically accept the truth of others. You can radically accept that this is what happened. Yes, there are feelings and emotions attached to all of that, but the first step is to radically accept that what is, and the truth will set you free. The truth will lighten you enough to where you are able to look at it, and then you tap into healing and your creative potential once you release those layers of denial. And under those layers of denial is where your creativity and your true potential lies. So that is my prayer, and my teaching is to you for today, that we will go through questions to come up to remove the layers of denial. We will do some journal exercises and talk about it and come up with, what denial have I been living in? Am I denying myself good health? Am I denying myself good connections? Am I focused on other people so much that I'm denying a connection to myself with myself? So let's get into the work. I'm so happy that you are here. Let's keep healing together. God bless.